Hello there. My name is Camille Macries, and I am the founder and principal of the School of Inner Beauty. Thank you for being here. I would love to share with you my story and how that brought me to be putting this program on. So I was born to a mom and a stepdad who struggled a lot. They struggled in their relationship with each other. They struggled to, support me and my brother financially. My stepdad was an alcoholic, and they did the best they could, but they were really mostly living out the patterns that they had received in their, from their parents. And, what happened to me then is that, I didn't have that relationship with my stepdad where I cultivated a very strong self-esteem or self-image. My mom didn't have it either, so she wasn't able to teach me. And so I ended up really looking for that in my relationships with men and through the things that I did, through being a good student and, working really hard and looking to find my value outside of myself. Now that went pretty bankrupt. And by my mid-20s, I had it. My business was on the rocks. I'd had several failed relationships, and I wanted to keep people away. So I actually gained 40 pounds. Food was my solace. Food was my friend. Food was love. And, I didn't want to be beautiful. I didn't want to be seen by men. I wanted to be left alone because, letting people in had caused a lot of heartbreak. And it was a really dark time for me. But what happened after that, come 2011, I started participating in different transformational workshops that allowed me to begin to see that there was a better way to live, that the things that I was thinking, my perspective on things may not be true, and they may not be helping me out very much. And so that was really great. And then come January of this year, 2013, I celebrated my 33rd birthday. And things were going pretty good, but when I was really straight with myself, I still wasn't living the life of my dreams. I've always wanted to be a mom and get married and really make a difference in the world. And I still had things that were in the way of doing that. And I couldn't turn back. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. And so when I made that commitment to really strip away all of the things that were still in my way of living this life of my dreams, all of these miraculous things started to happen. I was introduced to all of these new programs and new people and new conversations to help me to really release my inner beauty, even though that wasn't what I was going after. So let me tell you about a couple of the things that have come out of that and how my life is different since participating in all of this. The first thing is that I lost 40 pounds, and I used to feel sometimes like I was being held hostage in my body. I would look in the mirror and say, who is this person? This couldn't possibly be me. And it was just like I was a prisoner in this fat suit. And I was able to shed the weight and balance my hormones and feel like I belonged in the body I was in. So that was one thing that happened. Another thing that happened was I stopped living in reaction to my mom, and I embraced really being a woman. I mean, that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But I stopped putting up this big, thick wall against men and started to let myself be known, let myself be seen, let myself be admired for being a woman. I stopped working so hard. I was working sometimes 12 hours a day and not taking care of myself, not always exercising, just working, not spending time with my friends, just not having that foundation of things in my life that would that would nourish me and fill me up. And I started to really just take care of myself. I threw out most of my clothes and got new clothes that were a reflection of me. I bought lots of bright colors. I started painting my nails bright colors. I started doing nice things for myself, and I started dancing. I just started doing all of these new things that I didn't even know that I was missing. And it's just been remarkable. So then one night I got to thinking, wow, you know, I've experienced this amazing transformation. I feel so good about myself. I'm becoming the woman I always knew was in me, and now I'm finally letting her out. Now what? I said, I just want to offer this to women everywhere without them having to, you know, spend $10,000 in 9 months and go to different programs every weekend. You know, just I want to give women the very best of what I've gotten and packaged in a way that they could actually utilize in their day-to-day life. So, you know, given that I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, I called up some friends, and most of them were the women who I actually met in the last 8 months of this journey who were experts in this field where I was not. And I said, hey, you know, I want to create a whole new conversation and possibility for women around unlocking their inner beauty. Would you like to help me with this? And they all said yes. They were so excited about it because they knew, like I had learned, that this was not the information that women had been receiving to become more beautiful. Everything that women were receiving had something to do with, you know, just the external body. And while that's important, it's missing pieces. And so that's what we're offering you. I have the bios of all of my amazing contributors below. Most of them supported me directly in my own personal transformation. They are all experts in their field and have helped hundreds or thousands of women themselves. And yeah, what we're really promising you through participating in this program is that you would unlock your own inner beauty and let it out for the world to see. That's your birthright. You know, you deserve to have a life that is beautiful, you know, where you're able to look in the mirror and see and experience your beauty, where you know yourself as the contribution that you really are, where you love what you see. And that love is just able to radiate. And so if you found your way to this video, I believe that it may be a sign that this could be for you. And I'm going to ask you this one last thing. You know, given everything that I've just said, I ask you to just imagine your life 3 months from now and what it could be like if you were to have this transformation for yourself. You know, if you were to have these tools at your disposal and this community of women at your disposal, who could you be? You know, how could your relationships with, you know, your husband, your kids, potential boyfriends, you know, in your career, how could things be different if the real you was able to truly be let out and unleashed into the world? So again, my name is Camille Macris, and thank you so much for listening to this video. And I do hope to receive your application and have a conversation with you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.